Welcome to Sign Mastery. My name is Richard Harvey, and it's a great pleasure to talk to you today from a hot and sunny London. We are based in London, Victoria, in the heart of London. We are not far from Buckingham Palace, which, as you may know, Her Majesty the Queen lives here. But since COVID-19 in March, she has been largely based at Windsor Castle in Windsor, and she is now at Balmoral. But as soon as she gets back to London, Victoria and Buckingham Palace, which is near here, we will let you know. I have been a headmaster in a school which is a private school based in Scotland, and it was a leading independent UK school. We sent children to all the best schools in England, namely Eton, Winchester, Harrow, Wickham Abbey for girls, and Down House. And as a headmaster, I was fortunate to advise children about universities, in particular Oxford and Cambridge. The reason I know so much about the royal family is I was very privileged to live in Windsor Castle as a boy, and therefore it's a great pleasure to talk to you today about education. Today at Sign Mastery, we will be covering the following topics: agency, guardian, immigration specialists, our services, and our online course. You may be thinking, what is an agent? And what is their responsibilities? Well, an agent is principally a person or a group who's involved with school and university placements for your child's. Their first responsibility is entry documents preparation. What is this? Well, basically, they'll complete all the administration for you in terms of personal information, in terms of passports, in terms of making sure they put together the school report and sending it to the school. And of course, you have to pay a registration fee. So it's a very straightforward task. Sometimes when you apply for a school or indeed a university, but particularly schools, you may be required to visit the school, to meet the admissions team, to meet the headmaster or headmistress, and the agent will come with you on such visits. On such a visit, you may also have to do an assessment, although sometimes those assessments are online, and the agent is responsible in liaising with the school and organising such assessments for you. Once you receive your offer, the agent will be responsible for making sure you fill in all the relevant forms and indeed pay the deposit. So the agent is really an admin person. They're there to make sure you complete all the forms at the necessary times. When do you need an agent? Well, the simple answer is once you decide to come to the UK, to a UK school or UK university, you need an agent straight away. And they are aware of all the various timeframes and deadlines, and sometimes that can be 2 months or sometimes it can be even 2 years. But you need an agent straight away, the first thing you need. In terms of a location for an agent, because they're largely emailing a school or talking to a school, they can be absolutely anywhere in the world. Should they have an office? In our opinion, a good agent will have an office because they are a professional outfit responsible for your child. In terms of communicating with you during this placement and application process, a good agent will communicate with you because they should do a short list of 3 or 4 schools or universities. So they need to be in constant touch with you during this process about the shortlist. In terms of principles, what should an agent follow when choosing a school? Well, I think the first thing must be you must have a decent chance of success. There's no point in them choosing a school for you in which you won't get in. So I think there must be a high success rate. Secondly, Pastoral, a pastoral principal. Will you as a student be happy there? The agent's got to make sure they think you'll be happy in this school, you'll thrive in this school, and you'll fulfill your potential in this school. And also, in terms of weekends, you will be living at the school. So in terms of principals, the agent has to make sure that you will be constantly busy in this school with lots of activities. And also, in terms of payment, this is a very serious issue because some agents will receive commission or money from the school that you choose, and they will not want a payment from you. And this has some disadvantages because it means they're not really solely interested in the school at all for you, for your child. They just want to receive the commission from the school. So they're not really interested in your child's education, of which you are paying in excess of £40,000 a year. So you have to ask yourself, who is paying for the agent? It's a very important principle. And again, in terms of recommendations, there are positives and negatives here. What might be right for someone you know, they've used the agent before, may not be right for you. And even if they have a large track record of getting children to schools and universities, they will only tell you the good things. You'll never know the bad things. So I think you have to be extremely careful with anything to do with recommendations. In terms of what we can do, we go deeper than an agent and we go higher than an agent. We are not just about administration. We are about caring for your whole child to make sure they have the most fantastic 5 years education in the UK. We are in charge of every aspect of their education and we think about it much deeper. So in terms of an agency, my advice is to look at us very seriously. Immigration is highly important. I would argue that it's actually more important than education, because if you get the immigration wrong, the education will go wrong. In terms of immigration, you have to make sure you understand the difference between passport and residency permit. Many people do have a residency permit in a country different from your passport, and many people think that they can have different rules when applying for a UK visa. This is entirely wrong. We at Sign Mastery are fortunate in having our in-house advisors on this, and they know all the differences and they can advise you accordingly. At a very basic level, there's a difference between Tier 4 child student visa and Tier 4 general student visa, and many agents do not know the difference between this, but of course we do. And when you apply for a school successfully, they will issue the relevant CAS, and we can advise you on that further. Of course, passports of Malta, Cyprus, Caribbean and Commonwealth countries have their own particular laws, and again, we can advise further about this. Fortunately, Sign Mastery, we're a member of the Immigration Law Practitioners Association. This helps us to keep up and to date with the latest changes, latest policy changes, and we can therefore advise you accordingly. Our team that are based in-house attend relevant courses and conferences every 3 months. So we are fully up to date with Tier 4, Tier 1 investor visa, Tier 2 general visa, startup visa, and innovator visa. We have an excellent team and we can get this long-term strategy right. And in so doing, we can then get the right educational plan for you. Guardianship. You need to know the law because this affects your education. Every international student must have a guardian by British law. And that guardian must be over 25 years old and be permanently resident in the UK. And principally, The schools need to know your guardian. That is a legal requirement. The guardian is a first point of contact in any emergency situation. A guardian may well host your child during a school holiday or exit weekend. They don't have to. It's not a requirement. Essentially, the guardian is a formal role. It's a first point of contact on paper, but in reality, things may be different. You may ask, when do you need a guardian? Well, straight away. You cannot study or be at a school for one moment without a guardian, because they are your emergency contact, and it's a legal process. Organisations like Aegis, they are recognised legal guardians, part of an organisation. There are disadvantages and advantages to this. Some guardians aren't registered with this organisation, and some are, but it's all about the quality of the guardian. Some schools may have their own guardians, and they may recommend them. This doesn't mean they're any good, because essentially a guardian is a name on a form. It's where you have a phone number, where you have an email. It doesn't mean you're any good at looking after children. It's just a legal requirement. Where should a guardian's location be? Should it be in Moscow, Washington, DC, Beijing, Shanghai, Paris, Canberra, Australia? Well, no. A guardian, to act in an emergency, has to be 90 minutes from the school, at the most, maybe even 60 minutes. Because if your child has a sports injury on a Wednesday afternoon and they go to hospital, it won't be the school that is taking them. It will be the guardian, who is fully legal responsible in so doing. And in terms of communication with a student, does a guardian really have to communicate with a student? Not really. They are just an emergency contact. But of course, an excellent company will go beyond guardianship, because an excellent company is about deep care for your child that's trying to fulfill their potential. In terms of communication with a student, as I was saying, a guardian company will not, in my view and my experience, do this effectively. A company like Sign Mastery is involved with every aspect of your child's, their mental, their emotional well-being. They will pick up problems that they will have, and of course, all teenagers will have many problems. So in my view, it's very important that your child speaks to someone from an organisation like us who's bigger and better than a guardian, who really cares for the welfare of your child and their academic progress. And that's why I recommend somebody like us who goes beyond guardianship. Education is fundamentally about transforming lives. And to transform your life or your child's life, we have to be involved with everything. We have to have a long-term strategy. And our team, we have experts to deal with education, immigration, future career, and guardianship, all at a very deep level. And as soon as you contact us, we are involved in all those aspects, and we have an in-house team for all those aspects. We are solely interested in a long-term strategy for your child. It might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, it may even influence their future career. And we have to recognize that times change. Even COVID-19 has presented us with many challenges. So whilst we have a strategy, we are mindful that a strategy changes in terms of the needs, aspirations, ambitions of the family. Even a child's ideas themselves will change as the child grows and matures. In terms of a strategy, we have a step-by-step action plan that involves student and university placement, guardianship, academic monitoring and coaching at a very deep level, a private tuition service with experienced and enthusiastic teachers who are there to make a real difference to your child, and many other trainings too. In front of you, you can see our working algorithm, which is very clear and straightforward. But underlying this is a pyramid. I may not be as old as Cleopatra, just in case you're confused, but a pyramid is essential to our thinking and modus operandi. A pyramid that involves you as the family, we at Sign Mastery, and crucially, the school. Do not underestimate the amount of contact we have with the school, face-to-face, emails, etc. We need to know everything that's happening with your child so we can advise and support them at our best. And fulfilling your child's potential is when we all work together through good and through bad for continued success and happiness. Consultation. You can see what's in front of you and what's involved with the consultation, and of course, the essential price. But what is really important about consultation is the word consulting. What does that mean? Who do we involve? Well, consulting means consulting with you as a family, knowing your needs, your ambitions, your aspirations, but crucially, consulting over this 2.5-hour period means consulting with your child, the child that we will be responsible for putting together a dynamic 5-year strategy. We need to have our own time with your child. We need to consult with them, find their strengths, their weaknesses, their interests, what they love, what they don't like, what they're like as people, what they want to evolve into. So we need to have that private time with your child because we are deeply serious about your child. We want to transform their life and we want to be competitive and compassionate for your child. So we need to know them and we need to have time with them and time with you. In terms of school placement, as I've mentioned before, we are competitive and compassionate for your child. So what we really want is for them to enter a good school, perhaps a top school, depending on their ability. But our strategy will mean that within time, they'll also enter a top 6 university or a top school for A-level. It's not simply about placing your child in a school. It's about placing your child in an excellent school and seeing that they reach a top university. And straight away, when we have your child, we have a wonderful team supporting them. We have educationalists. We have our in-house immigration. We have our tutor team who can prepare for essential assessments. We have our family strategists and we have our careers. So really our aim is not just placing your child in school, placing them in an excellent school with great prospects for a top university where they're going to succeed and thrive. Today, it's been a wonderful pleasure to talk to you. I hope my comments have helped you understand about agency, guardianship, crucially immigration. Remember, if you do not get the immigration right, the long-term strategy, the academics and the education will suffer. I've also mentioned some of our services and I've just given you a small insight into those services. I hope what's come across is we deeply care about education. We are tremendously experienced in different areas and we want your child to succeed. And if they fall down, which all children as teenagers will fall down at some point, we pick them up and we want them to reach the stars. And by that, we mean really achieve their full potential. and become happy but talented human beings, and perhaps leaders who are going to shape the next generation. Of course, today there's many other aspects of what we do here at Sign Mastery, which our team will be able to speak to you about at other points, in terms of tuition, psychologists, life coach, career coach, mentorship, etc. If you have any questions at any point, myself and my colleagues will be delighted in answering them at any point. Thank you ever so much for listening. It's been a very hot day in London, so forgive you if a little bit of sweat has poured from my face at times, but it's extremely hot here. And I think the Queen is happier in Scotland, because I understand in Scotland at the moment it's 20 degrees in Scotland at Balmoral, where she's staying at the moment. But when she's back, we will let you know. Thank you.